Hello, welcome to the interview here on France 24. Well, my guest today, Riyad Malki, is the Palestinian Minister for Foreign Affairs, and he is in Paris today and tomorrow with his president, with Mahmoud Abbas. They will be meeting with Nicolas Sarkozy at the Élysée Palace this Friday, and they're here in an historic week because, as you know, Israelis and Palestinians have agreed on a prisoner exchange deal. It's one that would see Hamas release the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit, who's been in captivity for 5 years, and in return, the Israelis will release over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, including many who are serving very lengthy prison terms. Thank you very much for your time today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Hamas has been very clear. They have been calling this, in their words, a great achievement and a victory for Hamas. Now, you are the Palestinian foreign minister, and you're based in the West Bank. Do you see this as a victory for all Palestinians, or is it just a Hamas victory?
No, I see it as a victory for all the Palestinians. You know, we have been working very hard from the beginning to release all political prisoners in Israeli prisons. And so if we can release one or two or 1,027, as this case, then it's really a victory. Our victory will be when we will empty completely all Israeli prisons from Palestinian political prisoners. Then there will be, the great victory for all the Palestinians.
Could you give me a better sense of how this deal came about? Who were the key players in the negotiations on the Palestinian side?
Well, on the Palestinian side, this Hamas. This is really a Hamas case. They have really abducted Gilad Shalit. They kept him for 5 years. They negotiated through as you know, the Germans and many others, and
the Egyptians as well.
And the Egyptians, lately with the Egyptians, which really culminated with the agreement that they have reached really yesterday. And so it is exclusive between Hamas, Israel, and Egypt.
So there are no, I guess the term being, there are no hard feelings, say, between Fatah faction and Hamas, the fact that this is Hamas's victory. You don't feel a little bit of, in the West Bank, some resentment?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There's a sense of solidarity on this deal.
First of all, I have to clarify one point, that, the issue of Palestinian political prisoners, it's an issue of all the Palestinians. It's really cornerstone for all of us. It's really one of the final status issues that, President Mahmoud Abbas has been talking about. Mahmoud Abbas has said there will be no final peace agreement with Israel without releasing all Palestinian political prisoners. This is really very...
And there's still thousands in Israeli detention.
5,000 more still imprisoned. If the 1,000 will be released.
Right. After the 1,000, we still have 5,000 more left.
Exactly. And it's very clear that the release by itself is welcomed by all of us. We are happy to see 1,027 are really released. We were very much disappointed that part of them will be transferred to Gaza,
right,
and not to stay in their homes with their families in the West Bank, and other parts will be also deported outside.
So you didn't get everything you wanted in this deal?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we are very much disappointed. We are very much disappointed with that part of the deal, because we don't want to see any Palestinian being deported from his own territory, and by decision taken by his own people. In this case, Hamas has taken the decision, to agree on the deportation of so many people outside of their homes in the West Bank and outside of their homes of Palestine as a whole.
How would you then respond to the Israelis, and there were some in the Israeli cabinet, as you know, who rejected this exchange? How do you respond when they say we have legitimate security concerns? These are some of these prisoners, they call them terrorists, and they are now free to walk around. We had to have some restrictions. We just could not do a deal otherwise.
This is really exactly, how Israel really looks into that. Described, the Palestinians who have been really fighting to get rid of the occupation and have a free Palestine. Now, how you look at it, differently. We see also all settlers living in Palestinian-occupied territories as terrorists. And they have also to be punished according to international law. So
you would say the settlers living in the occupied territories are as much of a security risk as these released prisoners now?
Absolutely. The presence of the Israeli occupational army in the Palestinian occupied territories also is a threat to the livelihood of all the Palestinians. You know, the incursions, the invasions, the destruction of houses, burning of trees, killing of Palestinians, detention. What is this? These are symptoms of what? Symptoms of really terror, of course, state terror, and occupation. And so, you know, if we want really to have peace, we have to get rid of all the symptoms of occupation, the army and the settlers. But, you know, what I want really to focus here is on the timing. Of course, when the popularity of President Mahmoud Abbas has been really rising that high after, you know, his speech in the General Assembly and delivering, you know, our application to the United Nations.
In the United States especially,
you know, comes such a deal. So, you know, one has to, you know, to question the timing. Is it really intended in order really to boost the popularity of Israel, the government, and Hamas vis-a-vis the PA and President Mahmoud Abbas? Well, this is really a legitimate question to be asked. But at the end of the day, we are happy to see that, you know, 1,027 Palestinian
with or without the
prisoners
restrictions
are released.
Let's speak about some other timing. This also coincides with the statehood bid right now that the Palestinians have filed with the United Nations. Tell us a little bit about where that is, because when we last left it, it was in the Security Council. They had 35 days to consider it, and we haven't heard that much since then.
Well, it is still in the Security Council. I don't think it will stay there for a while. The Security Council, after they have established what's called Credential Committee to look into the applicability of the Palestinian request. And then the Credential Committee formed what's called Technical and Legal Committee to look into the legal aspects. The Legal Committee will present its finding on the 18th of this month. And after that, the deliberations will continue. I don't see an answer before 3 to 4 weeks from now. Is it really okay for us? Well, as long as it is limited to legal and technical matters, yes. But if it goes beyond that into political deliberate delay, then we cannot really accept it.
Is there, though, a sense of disappointment, or do you feel within the Palestinian leadership that you got your moment to make the point between the UN General Assembly and you're happy with the outcome? Or are you disappointed? Do you feel like you were sort of shoved aside?
Well, you know, look, when South Sudan presented its application for membership, in 3-4 days, you know, they got it. In our case, it's very clear that it is really intended and deliberate delay. Well, you know, we want to go, we have patience really to go along if the procedures allow it, as long as this is only technical and legal procedure. Did we want to see it happening much earlier? Of course. But still, you know, we are working, watching what's happening there, and we are ready to provide all type of information and documentation to the committee in order really to conclude its deliberations.
Was there any contact of any kind during the UN General Assembly between Palestinian and Israeli officials? We remember that Benjamin Netanyahu said, "We're ready to talk. We want to talk." Was there any contact on any level during that General Assembly?
No, not at all, not at all. If he's ready to talk, you know, let him accept, you know, the quartet, you know, proposal. He has to announce openly and clearly that he accepts the two-state solution, a Palestinian state on 67 borders with territorial swap. And, you know, he has to stop settlement construction while we are negotiating.
And the return of refugees as well?
Well, this is really in a negotiating matter. We will negotiate it with the Israelis. But, you know, in order for us to sit and to talk right now, he has to agree on these obligations, Israeli obligations, not preconditions, but Israeli obligations, according to the roadmap and according to the quartet statement and according to, you know, also to President Barack Obama's speech.
We're going to, obviously, you mentioned October 18th. We have to wait for that day. We're running out of time. I want to ask you, right now, the settlement construction continues right now. And a lot of people say that...
Not only continues, accelerates.
Okay, accelerates. And a lot of people say that these are facts on the ground which make a viable two-state solution not viable anymore.
Absolutely. This is really the statement that we have been really repeating every day. It's really a fact that, you know, all the international community are aware of. There are so many resolutions that have been taken by the Security Council condemning this. Still, Israel continued, and the international community watched without really doing anything.
You can't really do anything right now at this point, right? You have no one you could appeal to. The United States is
well.
already...
That's why we went to the United Nations, asking for their involvement and their intervention in order really to safeguard, the two-state solution option. Because if we cannot really establish a viable, contiguous Palestinian state on the 67 borders, then the two-state solution option will be totally.
There's a lot of obviously political work, negotiation still ahead. I want to end with this final question. We've heard a statement from Hamas saying that unless all the prisoners are released from Israeli detention, Palestinian prisoners, they are ready to kidnap another soldier. Gilad Shalit will not be the last. How do you feel as a minister in the Palestinian government about such a statement?
Well, look, many Israeli soldiers, lost their way in the West Bank, and we passed them to the Israeli authorities. Settlers the same, and many others. We are totally against kidnapping any person, regardless. But at the same time, we want to see all the Palestinian political prisoners being really released and free.
So you reject this statement from Hamas, saying that they are ready that Gilad Shalit will not be the last prisoner.
Look, we are not going to tolerate anything really to happen in the territory that's really under our control.
I think we can leave it there. Thank you very much for your time today. Riyad Malki, Palestinian Minister for Foreign Affairs, here in Paris for a meeting with the President as well, Mahmoud Abbas, tomorrow with Nicolas Sarkozy at the French Presidential Palace. Good luck to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for watching the interview here on France 24.